Another is one of the most interesting horror anime I've ever seen. It starts off as a mystery thriller anime, but just ramps up with each episode, and by the last 3 episodes, it feels like I'm watching an insane over-the-top slasher movie. But when I first watched Another like 3 or 4 years ago, I actually really hated it. And while I was working on this video, I decided to check on my anime list to see what score I originally gave it, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. Like, really, I actually hated it enough to give it the same score I gave the last 3 episodes of Orimo? What the f***? So needless to say, I liked it a lot more when I watched it this time. It still has a lot of issues and one pretty big plot hole, but we'll talk about that later. Hey everyone, Future Me here. I just wanted to say, while most of you who are watching this video have probably already seen Another, for those of you who haven't, most of this video is spent talking about spoilers. The first 3 minutes are relatively spoiler-free, except when I mention a kind of silly death that happens at the end of the 3rd episode. But besides that, the first 3 minutes are relatively spoiler-free. I just wanted to let you know so you're aware of it in case you haven't seen Another. And I also will give you a warning later on in the video right before I get into spoilers. So just wanted to let you know, and anyways, I'll let you get back to the video. Another is about this boy named Koichi who transfers to class 3-3 of Yomiyama North Junior High after being away for a month on sick leave. But something seems off about his class, and for some reason Koichi feels drawn to his classmate Misaki, but none of the other students acknowledge her existence, and they warn him not to involve himself with things that don't exist. Despite this, Koichi befriends Misaki, and soon learns the dark truth behind his classmates' warnings. And Another has a really strong start. It's very creepy and mysterious at first. Like, I think the first episode is really creepy. In the first scene where Koichi is talking to his classmates in the hospital, randomly these shots of dolls appear on screen for a split second. Then when Koichi first meets Misaki, she's holding a doll and gets out of the elevator on the floor the morgue is on and says she's here to deliver the doll to her poor other half. Then walks away, disappearing into the darkness. Like, that first episode genuinely creeps me out, and I think it's kind of scary. Even the second episode, too, is also really creepy. Like, the doll shop in that episode is really scary and unsettling. I personally think the first 2 episodes are the best and most scary, because after the first 2 episodes, it starts to ramp up and get kind of crazy with some ridiculous death scenes. Like, the umbrella death is crazy. This is kind of a spoiler for the end of the 3rd episode, but someone falls down the stairs and gets impaled by the umbrella they're carrying. Not sure if I could show that on YouTube, so it's most likely blurred out on the screen, but that's just the beginning of these ridiculous deaths. Although I think this makes the anime much more goofy. Like, it's still creepy, but some of the deaths in this are so ridiculous it made me laugh sometimes. So the rest of the anime isn't as creepy and scary as those first 2 episodes. But it does become scary for a different reason, or I guess scary may not be the right word. It's more like you feel suspense for a different reason than before. It's sort of hard to explain without spoiling it, so from here on out I'm going to be talking about spoilers. But if you haven't seen it, Another is a pretty fun horror anime, even though it has a lot of problems, so if you want to watch it and then come back to this video, then you can do that. Okay, so for everyone who has seen Another, I think it becomes scary because of the way the curse works, where anyone can die at any point randomly in usually pretty terrible ways. So there's this suspense and fear where you don't know which character is going to die next, and I really like that. It made me really get into the anime and feel anxious for these characters even though I had already seen it. Like, I love that about Another. It's not necessarily a scary horror anime, most horror anime aren't, but it's able to make me feel a different kind of fear where I'm scared or anxious for the characters. A different anime where I felt similar was School Live. That one's not really scary, but because I'm so invested in the characters, there were moments that made me scared for them. And I think that's the best thing about Another, and it's what I find so interesting about it. The curse is so unpredictable and just seems to go after people randomly, and that's kind of scary. Now, the only thing that I wish they did explore more was the actual curse itself, because no one really knows why it happens. Like, why does an extra person who died go into the class in the first place? We only really find out how it started and how to stop it. I think it was supposed to make it creepy that no one knows why this is happening, and that does make sense to me, but I really did want to learn more about the curse. Also, I thought the last 3 episodes were really fun. It just kind of becomes like a slasher movie. Not sure if that's the right genre, but it just kind of becomes where everybody is dying and trying to kill Misaki. Or they're dying while trying to kill her. And I thought it was pretty enjoyable, and some of the deaths are pretty goofy. Like the girl who falls out the window and does like a back bend with like her neck holding up. I thought that was kind of goofy. I also like that the teacher was the extra, because I didn't really see it coming, even though there's a lot of hints throughout the anime. I think it made for an interesting twist, and I thought it was pretty clever. Also, I just want to say, I thought the ending was way too chill. Like, Koichi and Misaki don't seem to be bothered by almost their entire class dying, or killing his aunt. Like, yeah, she's already dead, but they're human in every way, so I think you'd feel a little bad about it. It just kind of ends with Misaki and Koichi just chilling. And man, do I hate that the last line in the anime is, "It's over now, isn't it?" Then the anime ends and credits roll. Like, I just feel like that's so silly. I'm sure you noticed that I'm talking about the ending already, and there's more time in this video. That's because while I thought Another was a really fun horror anime, there's some pretty big plot holes that really bothered me. So let's talk about them. First off, why the hell didn't anyone tell Koichi to just avoid Misaki? The girl who's the head of countermeasures, I can't remember her name, she said that she wishes she was at school the first day to tell Koichi to avoid her, but why couldn't literally any other student just tell him instead? A lot of them try to, but then another student will shake their head no, and then no one would say anything. Like if someone said, "Hey dude, do not under any circumstances talk to Misaki. You will literally kill all of us. I know you probably won't believe me, but there's a curse that will kill us if you don't ignore her. So please just ignore her. It will save all of us." I feel like maybe he would have at least given it a second thought. Like he might have been like, maybe I just should not get involved with Misaki. There's plenty of other students in the class that I can become friends with. Maybe if they just explained it to him, everything would have been fine. Like I just felt like it was really simple, and I don't really understand why no one just explained it to him. Now, I can overlook the not telling him thing because I get there wouldn't really be much of a story if they just told him to ignore her. The show would have just ended. But the biggest problem I have with the anime is Misaki's glass eye that can see death, and therefore can tell who the extra student is because they have death on them. I think it's really stupid and the biggest plot hole in the entire anime. Because when they go to the house in the woods and listen to the rest of the tape that says you need to send the dead back to dead, Misaki now knows that if she just tells them who the person is, they can kill them and they can all be saved. I get that it would be hard to tell Koichi because that's his aunt, but she tells him anyway at the end after so many people died, and then he even kills her himself. And after they listen to the tape, they go and eat with everyone, and the head of countermeasures says it's Misaki's fault all this is happening. If she just avoided Koichi, no one would have died, so it's her fault everybody died. Like, if when she accused Misaki, Misaki was like, "Oh, you think it's my fault? Well, I personally don't think so, but I actually know how to stop it, so if you'll just hear me out, I can save all of you." Even if they didn't believe her, she could have told them what she tells Koichi at the end. How no other class has an assistant homeroom teacher, and how the extra desk is in the teacher lounge, which is why there wasn't an extra desk in the class. If she just explained that, it would have saved everyone, which is why I wish she didn't have that power because it kind of ruins the ending. Like, I was having fun with the insanity happening in the last 3 episodes, but in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, if she just told them, this wouldn't be happening right now. And it kind of took me out of the anime, and I wasn't as invested as before. I think the writer just couldn't think of a way for them to find the extra person, since there's no way to tell them apart, and they just have to kill everyone until they found them, so they just kind of added that Misaki has powers and she can see death on them. I think it's pretty stupid, and I think the anime could have been a lot better without that, but whatever. Now, I know the last part of this video is just me ranting about the issues I had, but I actually really like Another. I think it has some issues and a pretty big plot hole, but overall I had a lot of fun with it. It's very creepy and fun. Also, the deaths are really creative, like the umbrella death. That's insane. And I liked Another a lot more than when I first watched it, and I'm glad that I rewatched it. So I think it's time I finally changed that My Anime List score. I think Another had a lot of potential and could have been way better, but I still really liked it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite horror anime is, and I hope you all have a happy Halloween. Man, I can't believe I had to rate this one a 4 just for this video. Let's go ahead and put that back. Ah, that's much better.